the act that Aaron Rodgers is pushing out there for the general public is so worn thin that it can be exhausting. But it also is so informative because it's so transparent. And you really, really, really get to understand what's at the core of Aaron Rodgers. You know, a couple of months ago now, I was at the Ed Block Courage Awards in Baltimore. And there were so many tremendous people around the NFL that work in the NFL, that had played in the NFL, that were currently playing in the NFL. So I got to talk to a lot of people. And one of the things that I've gathered over the last couple of years doing it, when I've asked about teams, players, news, stuff like that, the people that had worked with Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay would tell you, behind the scenes, mano a mano, he treated people really well. But when he got in front of the camera is when he changed. If you were just with him one-on-one, like his teammates, he could be a really good guy. But once he knew people were watching is when he performed, okay? And that's exactly what happened this week when he went on Pat McAfee's show and explained in his framing what happened with Aaron Glenn and that meeting with the Jets. It was so informative that, first of all, he decided before the Jets, without the Jets, explaining what happened, leaking what happened, etc., that he had to set the record straight, as though anybody in April was clamoring to know how the meeting went between him and the New York Jets. It is so old news at this point in time, and Rodgers could have easily just said all the natural plaudits that happen when something like this takes place. Hey, it was a short meeting. It was a good meeting. I respected my time in New York. I wish them the best. I'm excited for the next chapter of my career, wherever that might be. It's the easiest thing to do. But what did Rodgers choose instead? He chose vengeance. He chose, I'm going to make them look small. I'm going to be the aggrieved party. Can you believe I flew out there on my own dime and they didn't even have the courtesy to give me more than a couple of minutes? That they shooed me out the door. Don't I deserve more respect than that? That's how he framed it. Without the Jets having done anything, without the Jets talking about it, sending out anything besides a press release, this was how Rodgers had to get back at the Jets. And it said so much that in a performative sense, Rodgers needed some type of vengeance or some type of, I don't know, he needed everybody to see them as the villain or the enemy. And when people do that, it really shows you how small they are from a character standpoint. Because the bigger person, the higher road is simply to say, had a great meeting, wish them the best. But instead, he took the low road. He took the let me blast away on these guys. And I don't know if Aaron Glenn's going to be a good coach, a bad coach, somewhere in between. But I do know that if you're Rodgers, what's the win here? Did he think that he was embarrassed because the Jets released him or moved on? That he needed to prop himself up? People that do this lack confidence. They lack the internal confidence. And so thus, they puff out their chest and say, that person's wrong. That person did me wrong. I deserve more. It's narcissism. And it's a real small character. It's very lowbrow. And so for Rodgers, who plays the intellect, there's a reason he has to keep reminding people of this. It's because he's very much a phony. He's very much a phony. This kind of brash, I'll tell you exactly how it is, I'll embarrass you, I'll shoot you straight. That is not who he is behind the scenes. And they always say, when the cameras are off and nobody's watching, that's who you really are. And so, hey, it's better that he's a phony on camera of being the tough guy versus behind the scenes, you'd rather have him be a good guy. And so I think mostly he's probably a good guy, which is why this part of it is so problematic and really sad. And I know there's a diminishing amount of Rodgers defenders out there. I hope he keeps doing things like this so that we truly see him for who he is, which is a very small individual when it comes to public perception. He needs other people to be embarrassed. He needs other people to feel small so that he can feel big. And the fact that he did this week was, to me, the cherry on top, because I've been blowing the bullhorn about what bull crap he spews constantly, and that's not really who he is. And that all of these things that he does and says is nothing that we would ever take as a leadership quality for anybody else. But because he slings a pretty football, and because he keeps talking a great game, people kind of give him a pass. And I don't think he deserves a pass anymore. I don't think Aaron Rodgers deserves the pass. What he did this week, unprompted, unnecessarily, shows a very small person. And good for the Jets. My goodness, after the way that they just lapdogged him when he came, finally somebody with a backbone in there going, yeah, we're not going to play this game anymore. And I think that how he treats his teammates and how he treats personnel people behind the scenes, staffers, etc., might be largely good. But it comes to people in power, people that really can control him, coaches, executives, GMs, is when he craps all over them. And he tries to manipulate and tries to embarrass and tries to shame and tries to stiff arm. And again, those are all characteristics of a very small person.